Joe Slovo, most of you, but the South African government would like to see him dead. For they believe this white man, the chairman of South Africa's Communist Party and Nelson Mandela's old comrade, is the mastermind of the escalating violence by black rebels of the African National Congress, the ANC. Over the past 3 years, young blacks seeking an end to apartheid have either been gunned down or jailed by the thousands in the black townships. But now the violence is moving from those black townships into the heart of white South Africa. And when the ANC's black commandos strike, inevitably the government and its white supporters blame Joe Slovo.
He kills innocent kids like this. I'm walking here on the street, a bomb will explode. My kid, your kid. And people want to call him a bloody hero. They should kill him. That's what they should do.
I think he's an enemy of the whole Western world, not only of South Africa.
He works for Moscow, my friend. He works for Moscow.
The reason the whites of South Africa fear Joe Slovo is because of his connection to the ANC's guerrilla army, Umkhonto we Sizwe, said to be 8,000 strong. Their faces are hidden because the ANC filmed these scenes to conceal the identities of their soldiers, whom they say will be sent back into the cities of South Africa on combat missions. Here at their secret camps in Angola, they carry Soviet AK-47s and wear pictures of Lenin on their uniforms. The song they sing is about Joe Slovo.
Joe Slovo is our leader. Joe Slovo, Joe Slovo, Joe Slovo is our leader.
The reason these black revolutionaries revere Slovo, a white man, is because he founded their army with Nelson Mandela, and for 2 decades he served as its chief of staff.
Joe Slovo, Joe Slovo is our leader.
How far are you willing to go, Mr. Slovo, to win?
How far?
Oh. Bloodbath if necessary.
Well, I think we must continue the struggle, even if it involves the letting of blood. This is part of the Western democratic heritage, is it not? That if people are living in a tyranny, they try to abolish their tyranny by means which, if there is no other way, involves bloodletting. American people did that more than once in their history.
These are some of the people inside South Africa who look to Joe Slovo for inspiration. They call themselves the Comrades or Young Lions. And at various times they have turned their black townships into virtual war zones, controllable only by an occupying force. They look to Slovo not because he is a white man who shares their cause, but because he has been a key commander of the ANC's army.
Most of these people don't know me. They've never seen me. They've never even heard me. I represent something in the struggle which is a white radical who has been prepared to give up a life of privilege in order to make common cause with the aspirations of black people, even at the risk of life and limb. I think this is what has engaged the blacks.
Engaged the black leadership of the ANC to the point of electing him in 1985 to its ruling council. In Zambia, the South African revolutionaries chanted Joe Slovo's name and gave him a standing ovation as the first and only white man to be formally admitted into the ANC's leadership. Slovo operates out of ANC headquarters here in Lusaka, Zambia, 800 miles north of Johannesburg. 11 ANC officials have been assassinated in the last year, and South African commandos have already made one attempt on Slovo. He leads a precarious existence. Meanwhile, inside South Africa, in the pro-government press, and in programs like this on the government's television network, an effort is made to promote the image of Slovo as Moscow's man in charge of the ANC rebellion. People in South Africa, people in the United States say, Joe Slovo, oh yes, sure. He is a KGB colonel. He is involved, he does his master's bidding. He is the planner of military strategies. You've heard it all.
I've heard it all, yes.
Are you KGB?
I think that's nonsense. It's an invention. It's an invention.
You're saying that you are not?
I'm not, no.
And never have been?
Never have been and never would be. We represent no outside force and no outside power. we represent the interests of the people in our country, and as a communist party, in the first place, the interests of the workers of our country.
But who is this man Slovo, this white Communist Party chief, who so inspires South Africa's black revolutionaries? A Lithuanian Jew, he migrated to South Africa during the Depression in the 1930s with his father. He was 9 years old. He was a factory worker in his early teens, working side by side with blacks. And that radicalized him, the fact that they were paid less and treated poorly. He was a young communist by 16. Then, during World War II, he served in South Africa's army, which gave him a chance to go to college and to law school under a GI Bill. As a young lawyer, he met Nelson Mandela, the ANC's legendary leader, in prison for 25 years now, and the ANC's current leader, Oliver Tambo. He has been their ally ever since. But it was not until 1976, the year of the Soweto riots, that Joe Slovo and the ANC first forced the South African government to take them seriously. 2,000 teenage blacks fled South Africa that year, and these young militants signed on with the ANC. They met Joe Slovo in the ANC training camps in Angola. In 1980, it was Slovo who sent a team of commandos back into South Africa to blow up the Sasol oil refinery. And it was Sasol that persuaded South Africa it had a formidable foe in Joe Slovo.
Sasol played a very important role in giving the people, the young generation, the kind of feeling that however long it takes and however difficult it is, we can do it.
A spirit of rebellion was set loose, a spirit that lives on today. The South African government fought back. It blamed Slovo, accurately, for planning the Sasol raid and launched a commando attack on the ANC compound in neighboring Mozambique, where Slovo had been living with his wife, Ruth First, a long-time ANC leader. She was later killed by a South African letter bomb. To the comrades inside South Africa, she entered the pantheon of martyrs to the revolution. And along with that, the legend of Joe Slovo, the prime enemy of the apartheid regime, grew larger.
The regime has sought to make Joe the boogeyman. And in the process, they have shot themselves in their foot. Because they have made Joe, before the masses, the black masses, the symbol of the armed struggle.
Mac Maharaj, a top ANC leader, spent 12 years in prison with Nelson Mandela for his part in launching Umkhonto we Sizwe's first acts of sabotage.
On the streets of Soweto, besides Nelson, who is identified as the first commander-in-chief of Umkhonto and remains that symbol, the next largest symbol of the armed struggle is Joe Slovo, because his work over the past 25 years has been identified by the regime before the masses as primarily the work of armed struggle, as being the evil genius. So the result is crowds sing songs about Slovo. They name schools under the name of Slovo. They wave banners saying, "Long live Slovo."
We don't sort of take him as a white man, you see. We take him as one of our leaders, you see.
Every soldier finds it very easy to relate to him. So as the other comrade has put it, he is a father, like a father, to all of us.
We spoke to these ANC commanders in Zambia.
Question, you know, of course, that he's a communist. You know that he runs the Communist Party of South Africa. Does that worry you?
Not at all. What we know is that is our chief of staff, and we know that he's a communist. We're not worried about that. We've got no problem. He's our chief of staff in the ANC.
Joe is a communist. He has never hidden the fact that he's a communist. But the communists in South Africa have been participating for years in the national liberation struggle. They've participated together with the African National Congress in fighting for a free South Africa.
Chris Honey, who says he is not a communist, is Umkhonto's second in command. Honey and Slovo have worked together for more than 2 decades, building the ANC's army and directing its military operations.
When we look at Joe and other people, though they are communists, we see patriots, South African patriots, who are prepared to sacrifice everything for a free South Africa. We know that the party, the South African Communist Party, ultimately will fight for socialism. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the people of South Africa have got a right to choose, to decide if they want to be socialist or if they want to be a capitalist country.
How much do communist governments give the ANC?
they give us, I think it's well known, we don't hide the fact that we get weaponry from them, and they are the only ones who supply us with weaponry apart from a few African states.
What weapons?
Well, guns, explosives.
AK-47?
AK-47s.
We get AK-47, we get grenades, we get mortars, we get all the weapons that we need to fight that enemy.
From the Soviet Union?
From the Soviet Union, from the German Democratic Republic, from
you,
Czechoslovakia.
Where were you trained?
I was trained in the Soviet Union.
And what did they train you to do in the Soviet Union?
In the Soviet Union, they gave me training in guerrilla warfare, in the use of weapons, in underground work, in conspiracy, in methods of communication, a lot of things.
If they train you, if they give you weapons, what do you owe the Soviet Union?
We don't owe the Soviet Union anything. We owe them gratitude. We are grateful for the assistance they give. And of course, we shall cultivate very warm and good relations with the Soviet Union when we achieve our victory.
Honey points out that the ANC also receives economic assistance from Scandinavian governments and that it would have been willing to receive U.S. military assistance, but U.S. aid has never been offered. Meanwhile, inside South Africa, Slovo and the ANC are pursuing a new strategy to bring the war into white neighborhoods that hitherto have been exempt from ANC attacks.
There was a moment in our military strategy where we deprived ourselves of opportunities of hitting real targets because of the fear that we would hit an innocent passerby, whether white or black. And that can no longer be the determining factor in our approach.
We're sending a message, we're conveying a message to the whites that we're not fighting the whites as whites, but we're fighting a system.
But Radio Freedom has said, your own radio has said, we're going to go after them in their kitchens, in their bedrooms, we're going to bring the war home to them. I'm not sure I understand. By them, you're meaning the whites.
I think what Radio Freedom is trying to say, that for a long time, the war has been confined to the black areas. This war now must be taken to the white areas, not in terms of going for white civilians, but in terms of going for white generals, for white officers, for all those who are involved in the repressive machineries of the state.
In the kitchens and the bedrooms and the living rooms of these white homes?
We shall attack these officers even in their bedrooms, even in their kitchens. That's why we should interpret the message of Radio Freedom.
But more than violence, the central concern of the U.S. government and other Western countries as they explore the future of South Africa is the ANC's Soviet connection.
What directions do you get from Moscow?
I think it is an absolutely outrageous anachronism to suggest that we South African communists get orders from any outside force, whether it be Moscow, GDR, Cuba, or any of the other states that help us. It is an outrage, and it cannot be documented.
And in fact, a U.S. government report drawing on CIA and military intelligence concluded that although communists do have considerable influence within the ANC, they do not dominate nor control it.
And I would like to think that I have made a useful contribution to the struggle. But the kind of exaggerations which have been stated about my role are designed to...
You mean as the mastermind, as this evil genius behind so much of the ANC?
Are designed, yes, they're designed to take away from the blacks the capacity to run their own struggle, to play that kind of dominant role. And I can tell you this, that as far as the African National Congress is concerned, I take my orders from Oliver Tambo as I used to from Nelson Mandela. And I am not behind every major success, nor am I at fault when there is a weakness. I play my part, and I hope it's been a useful one.
Joe Slovo, Joe Slovo, Joe Slovo is our leader. Joe Slovo, Joe Slovo, Joe Slovo is our leader.